everyone, I'm Mary Kwiatkowski, and this is the Kowski Cast. For this special episode of the podcast, we are going to be talking about the Richmond-based Survivor-themed live reality game, SuRVAvor. We will be doing a deep dive into the concept of the game, chat with some of the contestants from Season 1, and discuss what we hope to see in Season 2 coming in 2026. First up, we have the 8th place finisher from SuRVAvor Season 1 coming in with one really clutch individual immunity challenge win. It's me, Mary Kwiatkowski. Hi, welcome to the panel. Joining me, we also have our 5th place finisher of SuRVAvor from Season 1, an alternate who came in really last minute and made it all the way to 5th place, Ciera Ulan. Welcome to the panel. And last but certainly not least, we have the winner of the first season of SuRVAvor, someone who had a killer social game, an amazing strategic game, and who managed to get all the way to the end despite my really flop attempt at voting her out. It's Olivia McGrath. Welcome in, all of you. So today I kind of want to start off by explaining what SuRVAvor is, which, by the way, I was pronouncing SuRVAvor for a really long time before I heard it pronounced correctly. SuRVAvor is a live reality game, or an LRG, which is another concept that maybe some of you out there don't know about, but if you're listening to this, you probably at least know what SuRVAvor is. And it was created in Richmond this past summer, 2025, for the first season. And it was kind of the first of its kind in the Richmond area. There's a lot of live reality games of things like Survivor, Traitors, Big Brother, all over the place. But Greg Friedberg came to Richmond a couple of years ago, started to look at the community here and thought, wow, I'm a big Survivor fan. How can I bring this to this area? And he started it. It took place in Chimborazo Park over in the Churchill area in Richmond. And all three of us were obviously a part of it. So first off, I'm going to ask Olivia here. How did you get involved with SuRVAvor?
Yeah, I had never heard of LRGs, so if you're listening to this and you're in the same boat, that's okay, and you could still do one. But I saw an Instagram story from a run club that I went to, that Greg also went to, but I had not met him. So it just said basically like, oh, this guy, Greg, is putting on this Survivor game, and I love Survivor, and I prior to this did not really have any friends who watched, and I was like, no one's gonna apply for this thing. Like, they'll obviously pick me because no one I know watches Survivor, so I'll be like the only applicant and I'll play, and that'll be great. And that was right at the end of the casting window, so we had to record a video for the application. I sat on my couch, recorded video, one try, press submit, went for it. And then I remember Greg and Emily sent something out saying that they got like 120 applicants or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I should have put a little more effort into this. But fortunately, I did get picked, and I'm so grateful. So just luck of the Instagram story algorithm and going to the same run club as Greg.
That's awesome. Ciera, what about you? Because I know that you are relatively new to the whole Survivor fandom in general.
Yeah, relatively new, now addicted. I had a couple of friends send me the application raw, just like straight to my phone, because they know I like games and I can be competitive. And I'm typically a yes person, so I just try to say yes to anything that's new and spontaneous. So, up my alley in that regard. I also like the show Survivor, so the past like 5 or 6 seasons or so, I watched more intently than I did prior, like growing up. So I was familiar with the concept. And was free the weekend. So that was like a big swing too. I think I also applied and didn't really know what to expect, but the questions that were in the application was my first signal that this is serious. This is the real deal. These are thoughtful questions. I need to put like some strategy thought into, but didn't know kind of what to expect from the actual game itself. Submitted and just sort of let fate do its thing, see if it worked or not. And then, like you said, got cast as the alternate, and then got the phone call from Greg. I think it was like 4 days before the actual event. So it was crunch time for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had a little bit of a different experience because I had done one live reality game before 2 summers ago up in Maine. And then I had several years before that played a few ORGs or online reality games for Survivor. And I had actually considered myself very retired from this kind of thing because they're extremely fun, but they also do take a lot out of you that we'll get into. But I had such a great experience with the live reality game that I had played before. And the one downside to it was that it was very far away and I had to travel and stuff. And this was like, oh, this is in my city. It's one weekend. It sounds fun. I truthfully thought I would be voted out really early, to the point of I had other people inviting me to things that weekend. And I was like, yeah, I'll probably be able to come because I'll probably be done with this like midday Saturday when I get voted out. So then that didn't happen. But you know, you win some, you lose some. This version of a live reality game was very cool. Not just that it was in the city that we all live in, but it was a much higher emphasis, I think, on the sort of social strategic element of it. More so than like the survival element. I don't know about y'all, but I still feel like it took a lot out of me during that, like in a good way. Like it felt like a good challenge. But we were fed, you know, we were given our uncrustable sandwiches and our bags of chips throughout, which was great. So I kind of the whole thing almost felt more like a weekend day camp in like a really fun way, where you also have people like kind of walking around watching you participate in it. And the challenges themselves were so fun. Obviously, this whole thing only took place over 2 days. So it was like really, really, really fast pace with challenge, vote, back to back to back. And yet there was still like whenever your tribe would win a challenge or something, I feel like that downtime, even then, like just makes you feel antsy, like you're really there, you know? So the whole production team was amazing for this whole thing. And leading into the whole recruitment for season 2 here. So from both of your perspectives, and we can start with Olivia again, what do you think was the biggest surprise for you about the game?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't go in with like a ton of experience. I think a few days before, Greg and Emily sent an email out, and it was like, if you're not familiar with Survivor or live reality games, we'd recommend that you know a little bit, which I read that and I was like, well, everyone's got to be familiar with Survivor, right? Like they didn't just sign up for this out of nowhere. But I looked up one live reality game on YouTube. I think it's called Sequester. I was trying to, because I knew that one of the someone who played on Survivor, I think 41, played on Sequester. And I remembered when she was cast, people were like, oh, I loved her on Sequester. So that was the only little like note that I had. So I looked that up. But that seemed like a bigger production. Like they all stayed in a house, and so it seemed different than what we were gonna do. I think what surprised me is I had such low expectations. Like even the early challenges that we did, it was set up that we didn't automatically start in tribes. We kind of had these like teams, and just the challenges that we did to end up having like an MVP that started the schoolyard pick of the tribe was so much more than I expected. In my head, it was like, oh, maybe we'll do like tug of war, like put an egg on a spoon and like run across the park. Like it just was so much more in depth. Like every challenge had a specific name and we were trying to remember the names. It ended up not mattering. I don't know if it'll matter in the future, but I tried really hard to remember the challenge names. We were supposed to like stay on an island. We all brought sleeping bags, which I've never camped, so that was going to be my first time sleeping outside, and we ended up not doing it because of weather. But just everything was like bigger than I thought it would be. Like there were so many people volunteering. It felt so smooth, and that really like immersed me in it. Part of it too is we didn't have our phones, so I felt like super in it. And I've described it to people as like adult summer camp. I think you used a similar phrase, Mary. So I totally agree with that. But yeah, everything just being like bigger and better than I could have imagined.
That's so funny that you mentioned Sequester, because Sequester, before it was that version that you watched, it was for years an online version where you would do it live, almost like on a Zoom call. I think it was Zoom, or it might have even been Skype back then. And it was a Skype-based game where you would do these challenges and it would last like a week and you'd vote people out. And that was the first thing I ever did in terms of these type of reality games. It was the last season. I had no idea, but it was the last season of the online version before they switched to the big version in person. But even at that point in time, some of the people who had been on sequester were like on Big Brother and stuff like that. And I remember hearing it pitched on a podcast, and people were talking about like, oh, it's an ORG, and I'm Googling ORG, and of course nothing is coming up. It's just like orgs, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what is this? So the whole thing is funny, but that stems from where a lot of different people have learned about this world. Ciera, but what about you? Considering you came in pretty last minute, when did you find out you were coming into the game?
That Monday, in the middle of the workday, I get a text from Greg, who I like, just some random number at that point. Asked if I had a couple minutes to chat about SuRVAvor. I like forgot that I applied because I think applications were due in December, which is similar this year. And then, I mean, yeah, I got a text from him in June, so kind of forgot about it. It was good that I happened to still be free that weekend. And just was excited from the beginning as soon as he said that, and kind of was trying to wrap my head around what was about to happen as fast as I could. I think I also Googled LRG, just like wondering if there'd be some kind of clue, and this is like a scavenger hunt thing, or like, what am I getting myself into? And I remember sitting on the benches 6 a.m. on Saturday. No one's allowed to talk, or like everyone's kind of like looking at each other. We're all like sequestered in our own little areas. Greg is waiting for everybody to get there. We're all getting checked in, checking our bags and stuff like that. And then he just goes, okay, go. And everybody just starts talking and just kind of knows what go means. And I remember being like, where are we going? Like, what are we starting? So I think what surprised me was just how fast the game was your reality. And then you just forget about everything else in your own kind of like real world, which honestly was kind of nice for a weekend, just to like leave my phone. I don't even know where it was that weekend, like in my bag somewhere, and somebody else had it. Like, and just jump into this fantasy of just kind of playing your world and enjoying it and enjoying the people around you and trying to win the game. So that part was really fun too.
So some people, again, may be really, really familiar with this concept if you had followed things like SuRVAvor Maryland, or a lot of different universities like SuRVAvor Maryland have this type of thing. Two of my friends actually met playing SuRVAvor UVA at UVA, and came in first and second place, and then got married. So it was very cute.
That's amazing.
There was some time in between those two events, but this format of type of game ranges from anything from things that last for a whole semester in college versus something like this that was a weekend. And I think even still, like, Olivia, like you mentioned, the production value is really high. The fact that they had volunteers. The thing that surprised me most about the game in such a good way was I had known from experience that these games can get you can be very emotionally attached to them, and they can be very personal. And especially in a game where you're going to be voted out, you're going to be lied to, you're going to be blindsided. And at the point where I was voted out, they had a group of people come up to me, and there were a couple people who, one was like a therapist, and you did like an exit interview, and then they said, like, is there anything you need to like talk about or vent about, like just one-on-one? And I was so impressed with the quality of like wanting to make sure that the players were okay after the game. Because I don't know about you two. I mean, Olivia, you won, so it was probably all happy thoughts. But like, I was Ciera. But after the game, your brain does go to this place of like, oh my gosh, here's all the stuff that I like didn't know about, or the stuff that I thought wrong about. Like you're instantly thinking about like the regret, the plans, the different thing that could have come to fruition. So that was surprising to me. But a lot of types of games like this have gotten more popular. Even things like, if you've heard of playing Mafia or Werewolf, or Blood on the Clock Tower is another type of version. And these are usually things friends will do for a couple hours. Even when like online Among Us was really popular for a while, that type of game. So the type of social strategy element of playing a role, maybe needing to lie to people, make alliances, backstab, that kind of thing. Did either of you go into the game with any sort of plan of how you'd handle that like strategy portion?
I can start if you want, Ciera.
Yes,
Sure.
please.
I did have a plan, and I dare I say I executed it perfectly. So
All right.
my at least starting plan, it's like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face or whatever that saying is. But I jokingly, it's very funny how this worked out, but I said that I wanted to find what I would call a big dumb, which is like a big dumb man meat shield that sort of thing. Who I didn't view as like super strategic, but always more threatening than me. So like more athletic, like bigger personality, however that lined up. And then one of our first group challenges was that game where you hold hands with everyone and you get a hula hoop from like the first person to the last person. And we decided in my group that we were going to line up in height order. And I'm 5'10", so I'm fairly tall. So it was me and 3 men. It was Doug, Chad, and Jose. And in that moment, I was like, we should be a Final Four. And because I looked at them, I was like, here are the big men, and they're all by my side. And I could tell right away that Jose had a very big personality. And I could tell that Chad was like super strategic. And I think he's played these games before. Doug, I think, surprised me the most because he's fairly like soft spoken, but he was the best at the challenges out of all of us. So that really worked out in my favor. So yeah, I pitched like, this is an alliance to them. Like, we should all stick together, and they all agreed. And then Doug ended up being my closest ally throughout the game. And actually, we had an advantage without getting too into the minutia of it. We had an advantage at the beginning that was able to like be gifted to someone. And Jose and Doug gifted it to me. And then at the end of the game, Doug gave me a hidden immunity idol that Jose had given him. So I was like, wow, full circle with the big dumbs. But I think, I don't know if y'all would agree with this, but I went into the game being like, I can only be myself. Like, I can't fake it for 48 hours. So I think that is kind of reflective of like how I approach situations in life. Like, I don't feel the need to be the leader. I kind of like to work with another person who maybe has the eyes on them a little more. So that was my like social strategy going in.
What about you, Ciera?
Olivia, that's so well said. And I just have to say first, I think that you're very right. Your strategy was executed very well, and it got you very far. Because if you just think about like who the last 7 or so were, like, I think you did a good job. So good strategy.
You. I will say I was really wanting like an all girls alliance to happen, and we just like never made it shake. So it's not like I didn't want that, but the big dumb was like primary strategy, and then hopefully the girls, because I was like, oh, the girls are getting voted out. No, but
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. My thought process was I think I was thinking about like really weeding through who I thought was lying to me rather than how I thought that I would lie to others, or like what or when I would do that. And so I was trying to be like super perceptive of just like reading people's body language, who was kind of being cagey. So that's something that I was trying to learn on the fly too, just like who was the most trustworthy to my face and trying to align myself with them. I did feel like the game, it just happened so fast. It's a lot of information to process. Like, you're meeting all these new people, trying to remember like their names so you can like address them more personally next time you run into them, or like their career path, stuff like that, to kind of like start the relationship. And then you have to remember all those details later on to continue it, and then align with them, and then talk shop with them, all within like 15 minutes before a vote. So I spent a lot of time working on that and just making sure I was on the right side of it, wanting to play the middle a little bit. But I was definitely surprised of how I think I like accidentally lied to a couple people, because I just didn't know what the plan was of like who the majority vote was going to be. And so like the person, when we would kind of all break off into separate pairs or trios, just to network with people. It happened a few times where the person that was the target would come talk to me about like the strategy, who I thought I wanted to vote out. And I did not know it was them. So I would say, I don't think it's you. I have not heard that, which was the truth in that moment. But then like they end up being the target. And I talked to my alliance member right after that conversation. And I'm like, oh no, like I look like a jerk. But like, that's also, I mean, that's the game too. It just was kind of accidental. But like parts like that, not knowing that was a part of the game, I just didn't know, just kind of being a rookie in that way, like didn't know that was going to affect me that much or what happened. So adjusting to my own emotions in the middle of the game was sometimes hard to just like stay cool.
Yeah, it's so interesting hearing both of you talk, because I went in, my whole game was like, I'm not going to win. Let's have fun. Let's sow some chaos, and then try to just hide for as long as possible. Like, hide in plain sight, hide your vote, vote randomly, don't concentrate on voting for who is actually going home, but just try to like cause confusion, not in a malicious way, but in a way that was just like, I need to have fun. So let's just do this. But it definitely, I think, became clear to me toward the end of the game. I was like, wow, like Olivia's got a plan and she's doing well. That's like, it was very fun though. Something else I want to talk about is the challenges in the game. So I think Greg did a really, really wonderful job of using the location that we had for some of the challenges. We had one challenge that I think was, I don't know about y'all, but I think probably the hardest one of the game, just like physically, which involved a lot of running around this park, reading different signs, and then answering the questions associated with the signs. They're like historical plaques in the park. And there was one in particular that there was a lot of like decoys in the park that just so happened to be similar to the question, but not 100%, which I don't even think he planned. I think that it just happened that way. But that was definitely a difficult one. And then a lot of these types of games will usually recreate challenges that you've seen on SuRVAvor or puzzles. And one thing that I thought was really cool was that a lot of Greg's challenges were very original, things that I have not seen before. They weren't like minute to win it games or anything. A lot of them were SuRVAvor related, but unique. So for example, one that was really early on in the team portion, before we even had official tribes, had to do with spelling SuRVAvor words on your back. Like a person would write it on their back with your finger, and then you had to spell it out with I think it was like, was it popsicle sticks or toothpicks or something?
I think
Toothpicks thing.
Yeah. Toothpicks. You had to spell out the word that you thought was on your back. And then there was a whole second part of the challenge. That first part, I forget that this was one challenge because the bucket bridge portion like really took a long time. But do any challenges really stand out to either of you?
The bridge challenge definitely does, because it was a lot of effort and it took some patience to kind of like restart a few times, to be honest. But I will say, I think that was one of the earlier ones, right? That was like maybe like, if not the first, the second. So I think that, and this is how I am, this is like a natural-ish quality too. So I didn't have to like really try to like project this, but just like under pressure, focusing on what you have to do, just like the task of like, what can you control in this kind of crazy adrenaline environment? And maybe I get that from my marketing job, just like making sure you still get something out the door, right? So with the bridge, when it kept collapsing against another team that we ended up losing, showing my team that like, just get the job done. I'm not like thinking about the other team right now. I'm thinking about us. Like, listen to me. Like, here's how we can communicate to get this our job done. Let's be efficient as possible with it and block out them as much as possible. Like, so I think some people saw me in that environment. Again, that was maybe not super intentional. It was in the back of my mind of, I can't lose it right now. But after that challenge, a couple people came up to me and was immediately like, I want to work with you. And I trusted them because I knew what they saw, which was genuine, to kind of make that a quality that they want to work with down the road. And so that's actually one of the earlier things that gave me confidence and just security, I think, with enough to go far. So that just like an early strategy game right there. My favorite was probably that exact scavenger hunt, Mary, that you're talking about, because winning that one, because it was so hard and it was a close matchup, because both teams were getting the last question wrong. I don't know if it was the same question, but I know we both just had like...
It was the same question.
Was it the same question?
Yeah.
Okay, killer question. Yeah. Winning that felt really, really good because I was all about the challenges. I think this is like where I'm more comfortable with, and the social strategy and all of that part of SuRVAvor is newer to me, but the challenges of exerting yourself for a common goal is something that is pretty fun. So it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I was impressed with, I was impressed with the challenges in general, but I also thought there were some like fun twists on current or old SuRVAvor challenges. Like we did an eating challenge that I feel like they don't typically do eating challenges on the more recent seasons of SuRVAvor, but those used to be bigger. But we did a version that we were given like descriptors of food, like sweet, salty, spicy, like that kind of thing, but not knowing what the food was. And then we had to line up in our tribes and assign each person a food. So like you're going to go first and you're going to eat something sweet. And it was kind of like a relay race style. Some people enjoyed it more than others. I thought it was fun, but I thought that was like a fun little twist on it. I had to eat like a giant plate of tofu. No hands, no fork and knife, just like face to plate on the table. But something about the setup, I don't know, it kind of felt like playing flip cup almost, like
Yes.
you're right across from the other person who's like doing the same food as you. So that was a fun twist. And then we did a version of touchy subjects, but instead of like on the show when they say like who do you think has the most control in the game or whatever question, you just pick one person. We had like poker chips that we could split between people, and you got to keep however many poker chips you put in the right person's like little bucket. So I thought those were fun. That one, we kind of got to like see Greg's POV on the game and like what he thinks is valuable and what's not because of how he set those up. But getting to feel like, oh, this is like a game that they do on the real show and being a part of that. And I will say I went into it being like, I'm super athletic. I'm going to like be so good at these challenges. And they were way harder than I thought. So I was not the like challenge beast that I thought I might be able to be, but they were very fun. And like, just again, that idea of being really present in them and feeling kind of like a kid, like playing games, but still being really competitive was a very special part of it for me.
I agree. I went in really thinking I was going to crush, especially balance challenges, and then I did terrible at balance challenges. So, yeah, it's very humbling doing these games. The only challenge we did that I was 100% sure I would win was the one that I won that involved moving dominoes, dominoes with chopsticks, and I knew I was going to be good at that.
You crushed it. Like
I just eat with chopsticks a lot, and I have a really weird way of holding them. So I was like, I know I got this one. But what I thought was cool, Olivia, to echo what you said, was the twists that Greg did on real challenges, especially the way he did touchy subjects, was awesome because that's one that the show has even had a hard time, the real Survivor show, of maintaining over the years because it's kind of easy to game that challenge. So it was cool that he found a way to do that. The other one that was really cool was he brought in a challenge that's typically done on Big Brother. On Big Brother, it's called OTEV, but it basically involves hearing a riddle or a question and then finding the answer. And the answer is usually one of the players who has already been voted out on the season. The other thing about the challenges in this game that ended up shaking out very interestingly was the game was a true two-tribe format where we just so happened to have one tribe pretty much win every challenge. And I think my tribe lost every challenge and y'all's tribe won. And the thing that was very interesting about that was that my tribe then had a ton of experience with going to tribal council and voting people off and the strategizing portion. But your tribe had a lot better like social relations and time to just chat and walk around. So when we got to the merge portion of the game, which the way that it ended up being done, because we couldn't go to that island due to weather, was we went to a apartment, like an empty apartment, and had a basically just like an entire evening of walking around in the parking lot of this apartment, strategizing, meeting people, building new alliances. That's where I think we all did try to like make a little bit of a girls' alliance that kind of didn't work, but we tried.
Bummer though, yeah.
Fell apart quickly after that. But so looking forward into season 2 of the show, in the game, like if you were going to give advice to someone who is applying or thinking about applying, what would be the biggest piece of advice? And I'll give you a second to think about it because I have one piece, which I would just say is be very flexible, because even though you might be an Olivia and be able to come up with a strategy that completely works and you crush the game, but more often than not, you're going to have to change up your strategy on the fly. And also something Olivia said earlier, I completely echo, be yourself. Like you can obviously hide certain things if you feel like that's going to be threatening for whatever reason, but it's going to be a lot easier to make social bonds if you try to be yourself.
I totally agree. And I'm glad that I thought about that before going into the game, because I think on any of these shows like Big Brother or Survivor, there's always people that are like, I'm a cop, but I'm not going to tell anyone I'm a cop because, I feel like everyone does that with their job now. Like they have the most random job and it's like, I can't tell anyone that I work in marketing. They're going to want to vote me out. But I did think going into the game that I am competitive and I did want to like play to win, but I really went in with the goal of meeting more people and like making new friends. And people say that a lot, that as an adult, it can be hard to do that. And especially like people where you live, whatever it is. So I did want to be myself. So I'm glad like you felt the same way on that, Mary. And I think if I were to give advice to someone, I would say just like be present in the whole thing, like really try to take it all in and like enjoy every moment of it, because well, it can take a lot out of you. And I remember being like exhausted at the end of the first day and wondering how people do this on a real island with like no food. But I just remember feeling like really, really in it. And I talk about it all the time. I had so much fun, but I feel like I can never explain the experience to people who haven't done something like that. And it feels so like special and sacred to me that I was a part of it and like that we were a part of the first season here. So just yeah, like try to release whatever's going on in your life outside of it. Just like really embrace meeting everyone, like doing the challenges, being a part of it, having so much fun, because I think that's the point at the end of the day. Like it's fun to strategize, it's fun to win, but having the experience was like the most special part of it all. So corny, but true.
Really easy to say as the winner.
Yeah, actually just focus on winning, then you'll have the most fun.
My advice, similar. I think one of the best parts was like learning about a lot of different people's backgrounds and interests and who they are. And it's really cool that SuRVAvor can bring people from all over and just like all personality types together for a common purpose. And it is funny and counterintuitive that like the game is that there is a sole survivor, but in the process you do get to know people so well and enjoy that process. You get to learn a lot about yourself, which is really cool. And like this outside of reality environment, so things might come up that surprise you about yourself and you might be stronger than you realize, or deal with imposter syndrome better than you thought you could, and so you can take that learning out in the real world too. There's a lot of benefits to that. So I think the way that you get there and enjoy that part of the game is by being honest with people like about yourself and to make friends as well, and enjoy that aspect of it very much. So I think that's probably my advice.
Yeah, and it's interesting, having gone through this type of thing a few times, I have recognized that like whether you come in and everyone on the game is a stranger, or if you feel like after a certain period of time of playing you really start connecting with people, there's something about being in an environment where you're needing to rely on other people, that can help you open up in ways that you maybe even wouldn't with people you've known for a really long time. Something about it, like in the moment feeling, so like there's like fun pressure on the game, right? And so there'll be times where I like having conversations with people. I remember this particularly during the merge, and I was talking with one of the other contestants, Harrison, about like just like completely random things in my life that were so not even important to the game, but I'm like, but we're bonding. This feels like we're just friends hanging out. This is great. I love this. And I know we did a lot of that at night as well, when we slept over. And I think that Greg is like very passionate about wanting to build a really fun community of both SuRVAvor fans, and also like there are people in the game who went into it kind of blind, that weren't huge SuRVAvor fans, came out because they wanted to play something. So if you are in Richmond or the surrounding Virginia area, or if you want to travel for a game like this, but if you're in the area and this sounds like something that might be fun for you, you should definitely apply for season 2. It was a wonderful experience all around. It's such a testament to the game and the community that was made that even the first, like, I was going to say the first several people, I'm pretty sure almost every single person who was voted out in the game then hung around, like stayed, watched the challenges. If you were part of the jury, you had to stay and watch them. But if you had gotten voted out the first day, a lot of those people maybe went home and showered and then came back and watched the entire rest of the game, and rooted for us, which was really, really fun. Another really cool thing about this game was that we have a somewhat local SuRVAvor contestant in our area, Tevin, who came and watched a lot of the game as well, even participated in one of the early challenges. So I don't know about y'all, but for me, that was really cool to just see Tevin there enjoying this as well.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool as well. And I think like the day before, they posted on the Instagram page a video of him, like a cameo style video. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool." Like they got him to make a video, and I think I knew that he either like went to VCU or was from Richmond, but
Mhm.
then he walked up the first day and I was like so starstruck. So
Yeah.
I know Greg has said that has kind of like legitimized the game in a way too. And yeah, he came both days, like stayed for the final tribal. I was really impressed by that too, of like how invested everyone was from start to finish.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it sounds so silly, but I truly like felt so important. Just like being, and I still do. Like I'm proud to be a part of this community for sure. And the people that apply have a shot at being a part of it too, like in the same way that I've got to experience, which is just very exciting to think about. But I think the details that they organize to create that feeling from the beginning all the way until now of like it flows up to like making sure that people know that we have watch parties and we want everybody to come to join in with us. Like to details like the pen that we use and it has the rope wrapped around it, or the paper that we're voting on, the torch, Tevin being there, like just everything was well thought out, and it created this really cool magical environment too, which was just like you're walking around being like, I'm in Fiji right now, like I'm playing SuRVAvor. This is awesome, a dream come true for sure. And I think like no matter how far you go in the game, like don't be afraid of the place that you come in. Enjoy the experience of just like the people that are there and the details that they have thought of to include to make everybody kind of have access to that. So placed from that regard, like everybody, it doesn't matter. Everybody still gets to experience all that community as well, which I think is a special part of the game.
Definitely. And I to echo what you were saying about like feeling important, it's so funny that like a lot of people who are interested in SuRVAvor, other reality TV shows, maybe they've applied to those shows, maybe they've thought about it. The reality is most of us aren't going to be able to go on the actual show, but this is such a fun um way of getting a lot of that same feeling, even from like walking up and going to the front, the desk and saying like, "Hi, I'm a contestant, I'm playing," and they're like, "Oh great, give me your bag, go over here, like do this," like the whole thing from getting our buffs, like it really does make you feel like, ooh, all of these people here are part of this organization that's trying to help me have this wonderful experience. And then have continued to do so, like you both said, afterward with watch parties in the area and to watch SuRVAvor and everything else. So again, to plug, if you're interested, definitely check out. Everything is on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow SuRVAvor RVA for Richmond, Virginia. There's also a Facebook page if you're interested in that information. And I believe some of the videos from the live stream are still up on YouTube as well. So if you just look up SuRVAvor Richmond or SuRVAvor RVA, you can generally find that everywhere. Really want to thank Olivia and Ciera for coming on and talking to me about this experience. This was at this point, what, 6 months ago that we did this? I feel sometimes it feels like just yesterday, and sometimes it feels like a year ago. It's been ever since June. So I had such a wonderful time. I'm excited to see what happens in season 2, but I'm also a little bit like, oh, but we're still living in the era where we're the only players from SuRVAvor.
I'm jealous of season 2.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And any final thoughts from either of you about your experience or anything you're looking forward to?
Oh, Ciera, you go first.
Oh boy. Well, Olivia and I will be there the whole weekend. I'm sure other people will be too, but we are helping out with the social media and the live stream and stuff. So I'm excited to kind of like just enjoy it from another perspective this year and watch what goes down and just talk shop with fellow cast members. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I guess I would just say if it's not clear enough, we think you should apply. And I just like can't speak enough about how wonderful of an experience that was, and also how much I value the friendships and community that have come out of the experience since then. So I really think you should do it. If it's like out of your element a little bit, it's perfect. So it's like a very safe way to kind of have that experience. So I think you should do it. And thank you for having us, Mary. It was fun to like see you in your element here.
Thank you. Yes, this is the big surprise. One of my favorite things about the end of the game was every time someone got voted out, Greg would like announce how he knew the person.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
thought that was really fun. And when he snuffed my torch, he's like, "And Mary, a Survivor podcaster." So, it was very fun to see how he knew everybody. Can't wait to hear all of that for season 2. All right. Well, thank you both for joining me. And again, you can check everything out at SuRVAvor RVA.